Pardon?
Welcome back. We said we'd be right back, and we're right back. So up next, our last forum of the evening is going to be our state legislative update with Representative Louise Stutes. Bear with me while I get my bearings here. And so again, I'll just reiterate, if you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you are not getting the full Comfish Alaska experience. It's a very social experience where you can chat, video chat, text chat with any person that's attending Comfish. And of course, interact and ask Q&A questions live here with our forum presentations. And so for those of you joining us on Hopin, thank you. You'll notice that you can submit the questions during the forums in the forum stage chat or in the Q&A portion, and the moderator will go ahead and relay those questions to the presenters. After the forums, be sure to be sure to go ahead and visit the Expo tab, but don't forget that we actually have an evening reception happening right here in Kodiak tonight. So if you head on over to Million Recipes right after this forum, you can go ahead and grab some fish tacos, maybe grab a drink at the brewery, head on home and join us right back here on this Hopin platform, where we're going to be sharing sea stories starting at 5 o'clock. So we're excited to have you there. But our last forum of the first day of Comfish, again, is the state legislative update with Representative Louise Stutes. And Louise Stutes was elected in 2014 and is serving her 4th term in the House and currently Speaker of the House. Additionally, she is serving her 3rd term as the chair of the House Special Committee on Fisheries. She has served as the Majority Whip and co-chair of the Alaska House Transportation Committee and sat on more committees than any other member of the Alaska State Legislature. So I am going to go ahead and turn it on over to you, Louise.
Unmuted. Am I unmuted?
You are. We've got you.
Oh, nice, nice. I'm kind of bummed out I can't see all my friends, but Sarah, it works seeing you. I'm happy to see you. I wish I was, excuse me, I wish I was there in Kodiak, but things just didn't work out. And being that we got a late start here, I have a feeling that I won't be home before the 120 days, but that's okay. That's what it takes. I'm really honored to have become the Speaker of the House. I mean, that's pretty exciting. It's exciting for me, and I consider it to be exciting for all of those who I represent. It gives me that extra little thumb on them, I guess I would have to say. I do want to say that this year there is a new Fisheries Chair. I will tell you that our caucus is very, very supportive of fisheries. And I was very calculating in trying to choose a new chair. That's like giving away one of your kids almost. I've been the chair of fisheries since I've been elected to the House. And so with Representative Tar, I feel very confident that she will look out for the good of all. She has a very vast experience. She's been on the Fisheries Committee for at least 2 terms, maybe 3 terms. And I just didn't have time to do what's required as Speaker and also chair a committee, but I have remained Vice Chair of Fisheries, so that's a good thing. Let me start by kind of filling you in on some of the legislation and what's been going on and what I've been working on in the last few weeks. I'll start with House Bill 26, which is the conflict of interest legislation. And I'm sure anybody that has paid attention is pretty familiar what this legislation is. I've been working on it for 6 years, and I know that UFA has been working on it for 12 to 14 years. So what this legislation does is it says, if you are a sitting board member and you have a conflict of interest with what's going on, you must recuse yourself and get up from the table and move. With the bill that I have, it says you must recuse yourself, but you can continue to participate in the discussion, because let's face it, what's the point of being on the board if you can't share your areas of expertise? However, you will not be able to vote on the issue. This bill passed out of Fisheries on March 20th, and it will be heard in Resources actually tomorrow at 1 p.m. And it's the final committee in the House. Last year we got all the way through the Senate. And Matt, how far did we get in the Senate?
Senate State Affairs.
Yeah, Senate State Affairs. So we started early with this year. We pre-filed it, and we're hoping to get it all the way through. That would really be a beautiful thing. We have House Bill 28, which moved out of Fisheries this morning and on to Finance Committee. House Bill 28 is the legislation which would exempt commercial fishing vessels from duplicative registration requirements created by the passage of the derelict vessel bill. It specifically would exempt vessels licensed through the CFEC, which is, of course, as most of us know, the Commercial Fishery Entry Commission, from the new requirement requiring them to register at the DMV. So if you're required with the CFEC, you do not have to, under this bill, you would not have to register with the DMV. However, if you have a vessel that is not registered with the CFEC and it is larger than 24 feet and motorized, then you still must go to the DMV and register your vessel. But there's just no point in the duplication that is currently in the existing legislation. So House Bill 28 will address that. Then I have House Bill 64, which is now in Fisheries. And what that is it's a regional fisheries development association. It's legislation for that. And this legislation would encourage growth in developing commercial fisheries by allowing a landing tax to be established by the vote of the fisheries participants, and then taking the revenue that is created by that tax and applying it to surveys required by the Department of Fish and Game. Under current law, this is only available to the dive fisheries, and it's only available currently to the dive fisheries, and the bill as I have it proposed would be limited to newer developing fisheries, and the tax would be voluntary, and it could be increased or decreased by the fishery participants. And the nice thing is the Department of Fish and Game is working with me on this, and they seem to be very supportive of it. So that's always a step in the right direction when you have the department working with you. So I'm excited about that bill. And then in fisheries, we also have a legislation working on invasive species. That's House Bill 54, which might be of interest to a lot of you. This legislation would establish a council to assist the Department of Fish and Game with managing invasive species. And it would also allow decals to be sold for invasive species management. And the funds from the decals that are sold would go to help eradicate and would go to eradication and suppression efforts. So that's pretty exciting. because invasive species are really becoming problematic, and the longer you let them go with no attention, the more problematic, as we all can guess, they become. Let's see, what else do I have going on? My office has been working, Matt's been working really hard with me on revamping our Board of Fisheries bill. We are trying to keep it constitutional, but the problem is, as we all know, we have four out of seven members that are currently serving on the Board of Fish, making decisions, determining people's livelihoods, who have not been confirmed by the legislature. That's problematic as I see it. And so we're looking at legislation trying to address that very issue. We're also looking at legislation trying to streamline the mariculture industry, and particularly for small operators in the mariculture industry. We've got a lot going on this year. We are hoping to meet, we don't know a date yet, but we are hoping that the legislature will come together in a joint session to do our confirmation of the Board of Fish members. And this office, and along with UFA, has taken a strong opposition to Merritt Carlson Van Dort. There is a lot of opposition to her, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if possibly she even withdraws because of the amount of opposition to her appointment. I'm going to actually have a chat with the governor about that this evening. I'm going over there actually when I finish with this Zoom meeting. I'll be going over to the governor's mansion, and that will be one of the things on my hit list to talk to him about. We're insofar as the fish and game budget this year, I haven't heard very many complaints. I haven't heard very many complaints out of the department. They seem to be pretty happy. They've gotten by pretty well with not a lot of decrements, which has not been the case the last few years. So that makes me pretty happy. We've got a really good director, Sam Raybung. He's really looking to streamline some of the office policies to the best of his ability, so that he can take those funds that he's saving from that area and put them into ComFish. We're looking out for, we want to make sure we have our surveys and that our weirs are manned, so we can get the full extent of so we can get a good long season. More money in our coffers, as we all know, both ways, in your coffer as a fisherman and in our coffer as the state. So let's see, what else do I have going on here? Oh, we've got the Marine Highway. We could talk about the Marine Highway, my favorite subject. I was over at the governor's, I guess it was just the other night, and he asked me something, and I told him, I said, I know you'd be very disappointed if I didn't at least get my digs in for the Marine Highway. So I certainly did. And we're working on our Marine Highway Operations Board, which is House Bill 63. And I'm pretty excited about it because the governor has somewhat parroted our bill. So I feel confident that we're going to be able to come together between our bill and the governor's bill and come up with a real useful instrumental bill that will help focus the management and governance of the Marine Highway, put some teeth in a board. The bill, that's exactly what the bill does. It sets up a board, and it requires the board members to have some sort of marine expertise, whether it be in freight, whether it be in moving people, marine wise. What were some of the other qualifiers, Matt?
One tribal member.
Yeah, we have to have a tribal member. The difference between the governor's bill and my bill currently is, it was funny because the governor says, well, what's the difference? And why don't you like my bill? I said, well, I don't like your bill, Governor, because you appoint all the board members. Whereas on my bill, you only get to appoint a few of them. And then the legislature, the Senate appoints some, and the House appoints some. And we have a tribal member, we have a union member, we have a wide variety of people. And then, like I said earlier, also people that are involved in the marine business or have marine expertise, which is crucial. We've been working on the operating budget, and been working with the operating budget co-chair, and we were able to secure an additional $6.7 million to increase the operating budget of the Marine Highway, which is pretty significant. We should hopefully also get about just under $48 million from one-time coronavirus funding for the Marine Highway. So when you take all of those funds, what it does is it first of all allows us to forward fund the ferry for a year. That doesn't sound like very long, but that's a pretty long time when you consider we've almost been going week to week on funding the last few years. And the other thing it does is it allows another 33 weeks of service in 2021 sailings. So I'm pretty happy about that. I was really pleased with the ability to restore service back to Port Lions. And I understand that Uzinki is putting in their last dolphin. I'm excited to hear that because that would allow them to have the Tustamina tie up there as well. I'm also really another one of my main focuses when it comes to the Alaska Marine Highway system is pushing forward and making sure that we get that Tustamina out to bid. That's critical. Our ferries are in tough shape. The estimate is over the next 10 years with the existing fleet we have, they anticipate minimally putting out $800 million just in repairs, in maintenance. And I'll tell you, that would go a long way for new vessels. They figure the new Tustamina is going to run probably around 250 million. They started out at 225, but with everything going up in cost, it'll probably be about 250 million. But we can get federal funding, and we have secured through the STIP, we've got a federal appropriation. Through the STIP?
The state matches in place.
Okay, yeah. Of about 225, don't we have? Federally. So the state only has to put up, I say only, it's funny, you come to Juneau and you talk in millions and billions. When you're in the city government, you talk of thousands and hundreds of thousands, and that's unusual because when I'm at home, I talk dollars and hundreds of dollars. So, but anyway, it would only cost the state about 25 million for their portion of the ferry, which is really kind of exciting. So I'm really pushing to get that out. The Tustamina is better than 60%. The drawings are better than 60% complete. And the anticipation is it should take just a few months to complete the drawings, and then it'll be ready to send out for bid. So that's pretty exciting. There's only a couple more things that I'm going to mention, and then I don't know, Sarah, if there's an avenue for anybody to ask me questions on this Zoom, but I'll just touch on a couple more things, and those are are federal issues that we really have our eyes on. First is the 30 by 30 plan, which is the Biden's plan to protect 30% of the US lands and ocean territories by 2030. So this is a big concern because that's a huge hit to Alaska and our fishermen. And so our congressional delegation has really been working hard on that. And I'm really impressed and grateful for the hard work that they have put into that. The other issue that is really a concern is the transboundary mining issues. The Department of Fish and Game lists the Takus, Takin, and the Unet Chinook runs as stock of concern, and British Columbia is moving full steam ahead with permitting of a large scale mines at the headwaters of these transboundary issues. That's pretty scary. These some of these projects rival the size of the proposed Pebble Mine project. So that is a huge issue. And again, we've been working with our congressional delegation to make sure that Alaska and Alaskans are protected in that respect. So a lot going on. And then of course we're trying to work with the governor. We just got our bill for the disaster declaration through the House. That was a pretty significant issue. People are concerned. They're saying there is no more disaster. This bill has no mandates in it. Zero. All it does is it gives the governors the tools that he might need if there is another pandemic or a spike. Whatever he needs, the tools are available. He is not compelled to use any of the tools available in this document. But the one thing it does do is it continues the SNAP benefits, which are the food stamp benefits for those in need. And without this federal declaration, the state stands to lose $8 million a month in federal SNAP benefits. Feeds a lot of people, doesn't it? And let's see, what else are we working on? Of course, the budget. We should be getting billions of dollars, literally, from the federal government. And so that's going to be taken into consideration when we do the budget. And my hope is that this legislature is smart enough not to spend all that money in one place in one time. We need to be very cautious in our appropriations this year, and we need to put some of that money away for the next couple years until we can get on solid ground and have a sustainable budget and move into the future. And we'll be working, of course, with the Senate on that, as well as with the governor. And I'm hopeful the governor seems to be a little more in tune, as you've heard me say this tonight. I was over there. Frankly, I was over there last night with the Senate president and the minority leader of both the Senate and the House. And then I am going over there this evening to have a one-on-one with the governor, and he is vowed to be a lot more in touch. I said, well, after the last 2 years, if I saw you once every 6 months, that would be more in touch. But he has put out that he is going to work with his legislature, and I'm excited. I think that that's what we have to do. We all have to work together. That doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything, but at least if we can have a conversation, I am very hopeful that we can come to a meeting of the minds and move this state forward and get out of this rut we're stuck in. It seems like we're kind of stuck in a groove, and so I'm really excited about moving forward and working with the Senate, with the minorities, and with the governor. So with that, Sarah, I'll turn it back to you. Boy, I really talked a long time. That's unusual for me. A lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and it sounds like we're headed in a really positive direction. And so we did receive a question from Buck Gibbons, and his question is, what's your plan to confirm the Board of Fish appointees, or what has changed from previous confirmation processes as it applies to Board of Fish?
What is it change from what? What process?
The Board of Fish appointee process or confirmation process.
Well, it really hasn't changed. It has to be a joint session. There was no joint session last year, so they did not get confirmed. My plan for the Board of Fish, as I said earlier, is I do not support Marit Van Dort. She is one of them that I will not support. And I base this on the Board of Fish meeting that transpired in Kodiak. I think that there were some things that took place that just were inappropriate. I think to have a Board of Fish with only one coastal board member on it is just atrocious. We need to have coastal fishing representation on that Board of Fish.
Well said. I don't see any additional questions coming in at this point in time, but we do have a little bit of a lag between our presentation and what the attendees hear. So we can go ahead and just give them another minute here to
no problem.
respond. But while we wait for that, we're happy to have you advocating for us at the Governor's Mansion this evening, and we will be missing you at our fish taco feed tonight.
I know it. I'm really bummed out about that, but I am. It was interesting when I was at the governor's last night. I'm going to try and get him to Kodiak now that he has determined that he's going to be a little more visible and a little more interactive, because what's that TV show called? By Alaska? Is that what it is?
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Is that what he called it? I think that's what it's called. It was called By Alaska. And he says, have you ever watched By Alaska? I said, well, I haven't really watched it, but I think I've seen the ads for it. He said, they have Kodiak houses on there. I said, well, he was all worked up and all excited. So I thought that was nice to hear that he was that in tune.
That is, of course, we'd love to have him come to Comfish next year, and we've got Crab Fest coming up in person here in just a couple of months.
That would be a great time for him to come over, because one of my concerns over the last 2 years has been the way commercial fisheries has been going as compared to sport fish. Now I realize that we all have to share in everything, but we all need the same attention.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've not seen any additional questions come in, but I know Representative Stutes, you're just so fantastic at always accepting questions and concerns of Kodiak and our surrounding areas, any Alaskans. And so if you can just share really quickly the best way for them to bring any of those concerns or questions to you.
You bet. You can email me at Louise, rep.louise.stutes@akleg.gov. And I'm not sure, but I would imagine anybody that's had any contact with my office in the last 4 years is familiar with Matt Greening. He's the best. He's my chief of staff, and this guy is the best. He's very proactive and reactive, and if anybody wants to call and they have an issue, Matt is very attentive to it. And let me give you Matt's number. That's the only number I know. It's 465-3271, and that's Matt's direct line. And Matt is a commercial fisherman, so he is tuned up and ready to go, as am I. You know, we work for you and we're happy to help with whatever and whenever we can.
Agreed. Thank you so much. So,
Oh, there you are.
I've joined back in here. I'll join here on video. So I'd like
Yeah,
to say
whatever you need, Sarah. And if we can ever give you a hand or you need any help with anything, just give a ring. And that goes to anybody that's listening.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today and really your efforts every day for us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And
Uh-huh.
this presentation would not have been possible without the generosity of all of our sponsors, which I will go ahead and list here in the chat function here in just a second. Let's see, but we do welcome you to join in sessions over here on the left-hand side of your tab. If you're in the Hopin platform, you can see sessions. That's just a great place for you to socialize. At 5 o'clock, we're going to be coming back right here on the stage and presenting some of the sea stories that we've had submitted. And so remember, we're just so thankful to have you here. We're thankful you're willing to give this Hopin platform a try. We are excited for next year when we can meet in person. But in the meantime, like I say, go grab those fish tacos over at Million Recipes Food Truck in the brewery parking lot. If you're local here in Kodiak, they're doing 2 tacos for $10 or a dozen for $50. Stop by the brewery, grab yourself a pint or a growler, head on home and join us for Sea Stories at 5 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow morning as well at 10 a.m. with Representative Huffman discussing the reauthorization of the Magnuson-Stevens Act. Thank you again so much.